character death in RPGs. Now, I remember when it was AD&D and when it was Palladium Fantasy, and I remember when it was Star Wars D6 and Marvel, and these games formed the majority of my early RPG experiences. I was talking about cutting my teeth back in the 80s, and I know you guys out there who cut your teeth back in the 80s had some characters that died. And certainly if you were back in the 70s on the forefront of RPG, adventure, action, and excitement, you had some characters that died. There's no doubt. And you was having them die for decades. I think that character death is something that a lot of, particularly new players, seem as almost a trauma and something that should not either the majority of the time or even ever occur. To me, this is fallacious and extraordinarily problematic because it is not your character. People say, my character. The character is owned really by the game master. Really, all the player characters are game master characters, and that's very important to understand because ultimately the game master has the decisions as to really what's going to happen with you in a lot of ways, directly and indirectly. Certainly, you own a portion of the character. It's partly your character, but that's a very important thing to understand. That's really the social contract of RPGs. I own this, the game master owns it. Together we mold it and model it through the course of the adventure. When you do that, you know with a real character, you know with the character's awesome, you know. Like, well, I'm gonna take the skills I actually learned. I've seen people that are like no kinds of stealth or perception learned at all, and they just keep raising those. And it's like, well, didn't your character just learn Elven? Oh yeah, but I'm not gonna buy that because screw Elven, I need more stealth. It's like, but you just learned Elven. Skill points represent what you learned. That's what they are. You trained and trained to learn that Elven, and you're not buying that Elven. You trained and trained to learn that history, but you're not buying that history. You trained and trained, and you learned that knowledge occult, and you're not buying that knowledge occult because you need more perception and more stealth. And that's a problem. You know, that's a problem of being unimmersed in the game. And the height of fun you're going to have in a role-playing game is becoming immersed. It's just like a movie. You know, if you're sitting there, you're kind of, oh, that's a cool special effect. I really like how they did this and that in the movie. You're not going to enjoy it as much as you can if you're, oh, man, yeah, get him caught out, and get out of here. And you're just caught up in it. Like, yeah. That's the movie you're going to love. That's the immersive experience. You know, it's like, watching pro wrestling going, oh, well, that's all fake. And it's different. Oh, yeah, get him. Get that piece of trash, Hogan. Take the belt off and strap him with it. You know, it's different. You're invested. The emotion has been transferred to you. The awe, the glory, the spectacle, the spectacular aspect has been transferred to you. And you can do that guaranteed with only the slightest modicum of imagination. You can do that in an RPG. And that's excellent. The player's on the edge of their seat with bated breath. That's what I aim for. That's what Within the Ring of Fire promotes, creates, and attempts to funnel you towards. And that's why you want to pick up Within the Ring of Fire on Drive Through RPG. Or hit up your main man and get the PDF bundle. Every PDF for Within the Ring of Fire, $75 direct from your main man. And join us on Raw Immersive Games on Facebook. And join the RPG revolution, gaming like you should always love to game. Now, when you're in that kind of situation, a lot of the modern games, it really started with D&D 3.5, and it goes further with the D&D 3.5, or I should say D&D 3.0. With 3.5 variants like Pathfinder. Pathfinder's not a game; it's just a D&D variant OGL, and there's many of them. When you go into D&D 4th, and it seems to be in D&D 5th as well. The focus of the game, the theme, is easy, which is interesting because before that, the D&D theme was hard. D&D was, from the design aspect, as a game designer. Talking about how the game is designed, was designed hard. And hard can breed a lot of problems as well. You know, you can check out Slaughterhouse, Dungeon Master, or Game Master, or whatever. Just type Slaughterhouse in the search bar here, Wood WWAD, and you'll see my video on that. And you'll enjoy it. You'll have a good laugh. And that's hard going wrong. But at the moment, we're kind of talking about easy going wrong, because easy says you win. You win. You put the cheat in, you have the save, you have the code. You know, it's a video game mentality. I don't want to be defeated. I have to go back to my save point. I gotta go back to this level or this board. I have to be involved in the game. And I saw this this DVD, maybe 4 or 5 years ago, I'm guessing. I think it was called Nero, but I might be wrong on that. It was quite interesting. You guys would probably like it. I'm too lazy to try to find it, though. Sorry. The concept of the deal was all these people were out LARPing in the woods for like a weekend, and it's like a D&D clone type game. So okay, they're playing D&D with different rules. You're not calling it D&D, and they're out in the woods, and they're live action role playing, throwing birdseed pellets at each other or whatever. All right, that's fine. But when they died, they had only like a 1 in 7. No, they had only a 1 in 7 chance of actually dying. Otherwise, they would just respawn. Like they were playing an MMO in real life. I was like, what? Are you kidding me? You're paying for that? Definitely not me. I mean, that just breaks the immersion all the way there. It's like, what happened? Well, I died. Oh, okay, that's straight. I think that's how the conversation would go if it even got that far in character for these people. Because that's just expected. That doesn't make sense. You know, a resurrection alone should be a tremendous thing. It's, oh, I saw the face of death, and who looked upon me as from a grim, dark distance, as Amalus scrubbed my soul and my psyche was being stripped away, and even now there are things I can't remember, as if I have large gaps in my memory. And maybe even like look at one of the characters like, who are you? You know, all that kind of deal. That's putting it over, man. That's selling the gimmick. But you just respond. We're not gonna worry about that. Everyone's done it. It's fine. It's, you know, it's more ridiculous than DC Comics. Oh, they were dead, but no, don't worry about that. They're back again. Don't hate on me for DC Comic fan for that, but I mean, it is true. Marvel too, I guess. But when you have that easy mentality, that it seems to be very, I think mentality from people younger than I am in gaming, because again, you know, I didn't come up that way, so I wasn't inculcated in that style of gaming. It was let's try to survive. And when you push that envelope too hard, that's where you create so many problems. I'm not suggesting that you should. Merely that at least the specter of failure should be there in all ways. You know, to be beaten down, and slaves have things stolen from you, have malicious slander cast about you, to be put down. I prefer to beat characters down a lot, especially in the beginning. That's how you get them over. You know, if you come in like Hercules or Legendary Journeys and just start beating everyone right off the bat, where do you go from there? Well, let's beat some more people. All right, that's a lot of D&D games go. And I'm like, all right, so you came in and beat some people down, then you came back and beat some more people down, then that just kept happening for like 11 months. Well, that's horrible. It's not fun at all. What about when you get beat down, and you slowly start coming back, and then you get your comeback, and then, you know, if we have an audience, the audience starts getting you with you. Like, oh man, I was so tired of seeing them get beat, and now they're coming up. Yeah, their excitement again. You know, we're conveying emotion, we're selling, we're getting that immersion, we're getting the people excited, getting the people into it, getting the people on board, and instead of like, well, yeah, of course they won. Everything's easy, right? And when it's not perceived that way, then all of a sudden it's like, ooh, this meant something. And that's a really important way to run games, I think. You gotta let your characters taste defeat. And I would say fairly often. I mean, you might want to give them a lot of wins. You might want to say, let them go over 70% of the time. You know, I'm not saying you should, you know, not randomize things out with dice or something. Give them enough of a challenge that they're going to get beat here and there. And that creates a good thing. I think that it is best to characters die in important situations where you can make it, you know, thematic to your story. Look at say Game of Thrones. People are dying constantly in there, but they try to, for the most part, there are times when it was like, but for the most part, they got value out of that. So I always preach getting value out of it. And this is a really complicated issue, so I'm trying to not overly explain anything. Merely the fact that playing on easy creates a lot of problems, and when you know that your character can die in a game, it creates a feeling of electric excitement and interest in the game, because you know you can be taken out at any time, and you have to treat things with more respect. And when you're, you know, when you are that mindset, and I can ask that all the time, you know, by very frustrated game masters. You don't want to frustrate game masters. You want to make them happy. Because they'll keep running. They'll have a good time. They'll keep running, and that's when you win, when they keep running the game. that's important to allow for that sense of fear. You know, you're going to play Call of Cthulhu, you're probably not going to feel that way, and it's fun, man. It's fun to be a little scared, like, oh, bad things are going to happen to me. You know, that's in the back of your mind, and I like that. And from playing with a lot of people over the years, a lot of people like that. Instead of being invulnerable and playing on God mode in this video game style. And I think it is difficult, because I think video games do a tremendous amount of damage to people who are actually coming into RPGs. They form an incredible amount of problems. I did amateur wrestling for a long time, and you know, there's no action practice makes perfect in wrestling. We say that is not true. Perfect practice makes perfect. And you know, it's very well talked about that garbage practice makes you garbage. You know, it's all about training muscle memory. And it's kind of the same thing in training your imagination, if that's what's expected. And then, you know, you'll see temper tantrums and stuff of that nature with someone's character dies. I mean, you got to eat that like a man. I mean, even if you're like, oh, that sucks, I had this and that, just take it like a man. Just take it like a man. And just, okay, well, what can I make now? How can I do this? Or, you know, whatever, you know, to keep the deal going, to have fun, to be a good sport. That's the important thing to do. Don't be, you know, a whiny little bitch. Be a good sport. In fact, you can see there's at least two videos out there where my character dies right in the public thoroughfare of the YouTube RPG community, and that'll be on Matt Pritchard's channel, so you can go watch old Slaughterhouse Matt. You know, so I think that's just how you handle it, man. You know, I remember in the Stalker game, George and I were like, oh, man, that was a hell of a fun time, but yeah, I think my character lasted a grand total of 47 minutes and 50 seconds or something like that. Well, that was fast, even by the RPG standards we're talking about. But it was cool, you know. It was different. And from now on, playing a mass game, I'm like, okay, well, I know I can die. So you have to be super careful, you know, and super in character, you know, or to say as careful as your character would be. So I'd like to hear from you below in the comments. Have you had characters die? Have you not? Did you hate the idea of your character dying? Did you hate the idea of being in a game where you know your character can't die? You know, let me know in the comments below. And make sure you go drive through RPG and pick up your copies of Within the Ring of Fire, the deep immersive dark fantasy game that will titillate your mind and scintillate your soul. Join us on Raw Immersive Games on Facebook, and you can friend request me, Anderwood, on Facebook, and you can get the PDF copies. $75 gets you every PDF that'll ever come out for the game, and some extras, and you get yours first. And we got 5 of them out already. That's right. So, thank you very much for watching.